Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't noticed, I had my baby. So today's video is going to be about my labor and delivery story because it was so different from my first time. And yeah, let's just not waste any time and let's talk about it. Let's get right into it. So on April 5th, I had my 38-week appointment. I went in there with no expectations of like getting a cervical check or even wanting one, to be honest. I just didn't want to have like my hopes up of, being dilated or just being effaced or anything like that. So I was going to tell my doctor I don't want to be checked. So throughout the day on April 5th, I kept getting what I thought at least was Braxton Hicks contractions. And when I explained it to my doctor, she was like, oh, you seem to be having Braxton Hicks a lot. Maybe, not telling me to, but maybe we should check you, or if you're comfortable with it, let's just check you and see where you're at. Because when they checked me last week, at 37 weeks, I was already 1 centimeter dilated. So then I was like, you know what? Okay, yeah, whatever, I guess. Since I've been having like these Braxton Hicks, let's just get checked. Let's just see what's happening down there. So when she checked me, she was like, you're completely effaced and you're 3 centimeters dilated. And I did not expect that. Then she was like, I can see you not going to 39 weeks or not 40 weeks, but I could see you having the baby maybe later today or even by the weekend, but definitely not into the new week. And I was like, oh, okay. Not expecting anything out of that. I was just kind of like going with the flow, thinking like, I'm gonna have the baby on Friday. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have him on Friday, not thinking anything of it. It's like a Tuesday that I had the appointment. So anyways, after the appointment, I go and I like treat myself because I was super excited. I was like, yes, it's almost baby time, so let me just treat myself since I'm by myself. So I got boba. And then when I got home, obviously when you get a cervical checks and stuff like that, you kind of feel like not good down there and just not good in general. So I went to the bathroom and I lost my mucus plug. Something I never experienced before was the mucus plug, but I seen pictures and like I knew what it was. So I was like, okay, maybe labor is nearing. Like my plug just came out. Open-minded, just going about my day, doing my normal things. Come time for bed or whatever, I get into bed. I just can't sleep. I'm just uncomfortable. I didn't have Braxton Hicks. I didn't have any type of pains. I didn't have insomnia. I just couldn't get comfortable. So then I get comfortable and I fall asleep. So then I get up with the urge to pee because being 9 months pregnant, I'm literally in the bathroom 24/7. So I get up with the urge to pee and I stand up out of the bed and just a gush just starts like coming out of me, and I'm like, whoa, what the heck, is this my water? Luckily my bathroom is a few steps away, so like I was able to like go to the toilet and like stand over it. TMI if you get like grossed out and stuff, but it was like a bunch of fluid and blood and like it just kept coming out. So I'm over here like, oh my god, my water broke. And it was, when I looked at the time exactly, it was 5:55 in the morning. And I was like, okay, well, I did want to experience my water breaking, so maybe this is my water breaking. So I texted my mom and I was like, I think my water broke, but like I don't know what it's supposed to look like. So I just called the hospital and I was like, hey, I think my water broke, like it was a gush, blah blah blah. Explained everything to them and they're like, okay, yeah, we think that you should come in to be checked, just to make sure. And I was like, holy crap, like it could technically be baby time within a matter of hours. Like literally now it's April 6th and it could be freaking baby time. So then I wake Ramon up and I'm like, we have to go to the hospital, I think my water just broke. And like he woke up confused and he was like, what? And he was like not expecting it either because we both think that I'm gonna go into labor on a Friday. And he was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, like I don't know what's going on. So then he gets up, we get dressed, whatever. We get Grayson situated because obviously he had to go to grandma's house for the time being. And we drop him off Of course I get emotional. I literally cried in the car. I'm thinking about it, like I want to cry now, and I don't even know why, but I guess it's just hormones. Anyways, so I was crying in the car because we had to leave him, and Ramon was laughing at me. But at this point, I wasn't in any pain or anything like that. I did have to take a towel with me in the car because, like I said, fluid was literally coming out of me. Like my underwear was literally wet, the towel was wet, everything was wet. So anyways, now we're like in the car and we have a 45-minute drive to the hospital. And at this point, by the time we were like heading out, it was 7 o'clock, and it's 7 o'clock on a Wednesday. People are going to work, so the traffic was a little bit heavier. Luckily, like I said, I had no pain. We arrive at the hospital. You know, I was super calm, super chill. I was just like, hey, I think my water broke. And they're like, okay, we'll get you checked out, whatever. Come to find out, the hospital was super busy, like with patients and like getting everybody in and out, because the hospital that I delivered at is just a labor and delivery hospital. It's not like for like sick people or anything like that. So there were so many people there having babies and being pregnant, and just everybody around me was in pain. And like I felt bad because here I am 9 months pregnant, like not in any type of pain, just, you know, chilling. And then you have like pregnant people next to you crying and like hurting, and I'm like, oh my god, like that's about to be me, low-key. So anyways, they get me checked in, they get me into a room, and the nurse comes in and she's like, okay, we're gonna test to see if your amniotic fluid ruptured, if that is like your water breaking, and we're also gonna check you afterwards for dilation. And I was like, okay, that's fine, you know, you have to do what you have to do, because at this point we don't know what's going on. So anyways, I keep looking that way because there's like a mirror. So they check me and they're like, it kind of came back as both, because they did 2 different tests and they couldn't really tell. So they're like, you know what, we're gonna have to do an ultrasound for you to see exactly what's going on, since we can't tell by the test. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So, because I was excited because we got to see baby. Anyways, so we go and we get taken by the ultrasound tech, and they do a long ultrasound. Like, I'm talking a really long ultrasound, very detailed. You saw everything. She checked like my placenta, my amniotic fluid, everything like that. And she's like, no, everything is intact. There's no ruptures, there's no leakage. If anything, you have more amniotic fluid than a normal pregnant person. And I was told that by my doctor too at 37 weeks, that I have a lot of amniotic fluid, so I don't need to worry. But like if my water were to break, it would be a lot. So I'm like, oh, okay. And the ultrasound tech was like, yep, I'm gonna give these results to the doctor, and we'll let you know what they say, because obviously the ultrasound tech, they can't like say much, you know. So I'm like, damn, okay, so what was that? And then in my head, it clicked that it was known as a bloody show. I've seen people in pregnancy groups talk about it, and it's basically like your water breaking with a lot of blood and just liquid and stuff like that. And it happens before going into labor as well. And it could be like signs of labor. So then the doctor comes back and she explains like, it is your bloody show that just happened, super normal, blah blah blah. Obviously if you start having contractions, then like you would come back, blah blah blah. And then I was like, okay. And then they're like, we're gonna check you one more time just to, you know, see if you made any progress, or see if you're dilating ever since like you being a 3. So I was like, that's fine. So then the nurse checked me and she was shocked. She was like, you're 5.5 centimeters. And I was like, really? And I was like, I have no type of pain. She's like, yeah, you're 5.5. We're gonna end up keeping you. Like, you're gonna have this baby today. And I just thought to myself, like, holy shit, like, I'm about to have a baby right now. Like, I don't even feel anything. And she's like, let me go tell the doctor that you're 5.5 centimeters. And long and behold, the doctor walks in and they're like, yep, we're gonna keep you. We're gonna get you a room right now, and you're gonna have a baby. And I was like, okay, guess we're doing this. So either way, we would have been in the hospital on April 6th at some point, because once they told me I was 5.5 centimeters, not even 30 minutes later, I started feeling the contractions. They were not anything crazy or anything bad. They were bearable at the time. They got me up into a room, and this is kind of where things got a little bit frustrating and a little bit like overwhelming, and just I feel unprofessional, I guess is the word. So anyways, I get to the room, and oh, let me mention, so with this birth, like, I didn't want to have to be put onto any pitocin. I didn't want to be, like, you know, rushed, like my labor rushed by like medications or any type of like anything. I just didn't want it to be rushed. Like, I wanted to have my body kind of do it on its own, because it literally did it on its own with my first son. So like, obviously, if I was not making any type of progress or just like there for like days or whatever it was, then yeah, I'm gonna take the precautions and like get the medicines that I need and like do what I need to do to get the baby out. But I was perfectly fine, perfectly healthy, and my body was obviously dilating on its own, right? So the nurses, are you okay? So the nurses come in, and there's two nurses. There's an older woman and then there's a younger woman. And the older woman was like, okay, so we're gonna get you started on pitocin, blah blah blah. Like, the anesthesiologist or whoever puts you on the pitocin is coming in to get you started right now. And I was like, what the heck is happening? Like, I literally just got into the room and they're like telling me this stuff. And I'm like, no, sorry, like, I'm not doing pitocin right now. I'm gonna see if my body can do this on its own, and if I need to take the pitocin or whatever you need me to take, then I will. So then after she says that, the doctors walk in, and there was two doctors. There was a guy doctor and a female doctor. And the first thing they said, like, obviously they introduced themselves, and they're like, okay, we're gonna get you started on pitocin, that way we can get this baby here and just get you out, and blah blah blah, like rushing the whole thing. And I'm like, no. I literally was like, sorry, but I'm not going to be doing pitocin. I'm going to see if my body can do this on its own. I'm going to be bouncing on the ball. I'll be using the peanut ball, like anything. I'll do any position. We're going to get this baby down on its own. Like, I'm not doing pitocin. And then the doctors, they were respectful of my choice, of course. They were very respectful, and they were like, okay, yeah, that's totally fine. Just let us know if your mind changes, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they leave. Then this nurse comes back again, the older woman, and she's like telling the younger girl that, okay, they're coming to give her pitocin. The younger girl looks at her and is like, do you not hear that this patient is not wanting the pitocin? She's going to be doing the peanut ball. She's going to be doing the bouncing on the ball. Like, she's doing this naturally, and this is what she wants, so we're going to respect that. And then on top of that, the girl was telling her this is her birthing plan. We're going to make copies of her birthing plan and make sure that everybody is on the same page. So then the older nurse kind of like shut up and just like, you know, whatever to me, and just, I guess, went about her day. So anyways, so now I'm like at this point contracting more, you know, laughing, enjoying the pregnancy with Ramon, like talking about it, everything like that. And my pains start getting very intense once I'm sitting on like the birthing ball, like bouncing, doing the hip circles, trying to bring him down into the birth canal. Like, I just start feeling my contractions more. And if you guys know, I got the epidural the first time, and I want the epidural the second time because I did not want to feel any type of like pushing pains. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna labor as long as I possibly can, dealing through the pain before getting it. And I had asked for it when I was like not 7 centimeters. I asked for it when I was at 6 centimeters. I requested the epidural, and my team of nurses, the two ladies, they knew that I wanted the epidural, and yeah, they knew that I wanted it. Case closed. So anyways, so at this point, another patient comes in to the hospital, and my crew is put on to this lady or whatever. So they're helping her out per usual. So I'm just waiting around, and I call the nurses, and I'm like, hey, I would like my epidural now. And the nurse, the older nurse, she had attitude, and she was like, I knew this would happen. Like, I knew you and this other girl would have wanted the epidural at the same time. So I'm gonna deal with the other girl first, and then we'll come back to you. And Ramon looked at me, and I looked at Ramon like, how is this an inconvenience on your end? Like, you knew that I wanted it. I'm not even rushing you. Like, I just asked for it. Like, I'm not saying I want it right now, come put it in my back right now or do it right now. Like, I'm not being rude, I'm not being bossy or anything, but you literally had the audacity to be rude like that. So anyways, she like storms out of the room, leaves, and Ramon was like in shock. He's like, I can't believe that just happened. I was like, whatever, okay. So then both nurses come back after maybe like 20 minutes. They come back into the room, and the other nurse, like the older nurse, was talking to the young nurse. and telling her like, oh, I knew this would happen, blah 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 blah. And the young nurse was like, well, you're wrong. The young nurse told her, you knew that your current patient wanted the epidural, and you could have requested for her to get it first over the new patient that just got here, when she has been here and she requested it and you knew it. So then the younger girl was like sticking up for me, you know. She was like, if I was here and she asked for it, I would have given it to her, but because I was attending to the other woman at the time of the nurse call button, I did not have the opportunity to give it to her. Only you did, because you went to the room. But if it was the other way around, then I would have given it to her right away. So whatever. So it was good to know that at least one of the nurses were on the same page as me. So now, come time for the epidural, the girl walks in to do the epidural, and my epidural fails. It literally only takes on like 1/2 of my body, and they didn't know that I took on 1/2 of my body. So basically, when you get the epidural, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to pretty much go through your whole body. So my nurse is getting ready to put the catheter inside of me to my bladder, so that way I can like pee if I need to pee. OMG, because I was not numbed fully, I felt the entire catheter go inside of me to my bladder or wherever it's going, and that was the most painful, excruciating pain ever. I was like, ouch, like literally, am I supposed to feel that? And then that's when it clicked in my head, like something's wrong. Like in my head, I was like, something's wrong, I can feel too much, like no, I need to say something. Then that's when I come to find out that my epidural failed. So then my nurses call back the anesthesiologist, and literally not one anesthesiologist come in, like 4 or 5 of them come in, and they're trying to like figure out what's wrong, and they're like, can you lift this leg, can you lift this leg? So my left leg, I could just go like this. My right leg was stuck, like it was not moving. It was literally the dead leg, like it was not moving. Then you have like 50 million people going back and forth, arguing with themselves, like saying like, who did this, like what's your pain level, what's this, what's that, like playing the game, like the blame game. And I'm literally sitting here like crying my eyes out in pain, because I just had that catheter put inside of me. They want to check me. They like are saying all these things at once, and Ramon was literally so pissed. He was like, you need to get her out of this pain, because she is not having this baby until she has no pain at all. Like, you guys need to do something to fix this. So then the anesthesiologist, they were like bickering back and forth about who's gonna pull my catheter from my back, because they thought that my catheter was too far in my back. And it came down to the OBGYN, the doctor, pulling the catheter out herself and like having to redo my whole epidural. So I got the epidural twice. The second time that the epidural like came in or whatever, it worked, but it didn't work like 110%. So then I had to call them back again, crying my eyes out in pain, and they were like, oh, can we do a cervical check? And I'm like, no, you cannot check me right now. Like, I'm not getting checked, I'm not doing anything until I'm not in pain, like simple as that. And they're like, okay. So then they call back the anesthesiologist into the room, and they're like, okay, well, in case of emergency, we need to really know if this epidural is going to work or if it's going to be fail. So I was like, okay, so what are you gonna do? And they're like, we're gonna give you the medicine that we give in the operating room for C-sections for numbing, and this is a very high dosage of an epidural medication, and if this does not work, then we're going to have to do your epidural again and just kind of figure out what's going on from there. And I was like, oh my god, I hope this medicine works. I cannot get an epidural again, a third epidural in my freaking back again. Like, I just can't do it. Like, at that point, I think I just would have broke down, and I don't know what I would have done. So obviously the operating medication worked, right? So it worked for a beautiful hour, whatever. So then the doctors come back in, they're like, can we check you? And I'm like, yeah, I can be checked, like I'm perfectly fine with it. And they check me, and I'm 8 centimeters, and everybody in the room, they were shocked, because they've been wanting to put me on pitocin for like the past hour or whatever it was, and everybody was shocked that I progressed so fast to 8 centimeters. They were like, oh my god, you're an 8, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're gonna be pushing out this baby in like 2 hours. And I'm like, okay, like I told you. Anyways, so after that happened, they switched nurses and they switched shifts, and we ended up loving our new team. Our nighttime team was awesome. Like, the doctors were moms themselves. They were young, they were fun. The nurses were really chill and they were fun as well, and like they made it enjoyable. But something happened. So when they were like transitioning me from like being on my sides and backs and stuff like that to help baby move down into my birth canal, my epidural started wearing off again. The operating epidural started wearing off. And they had to call the anesthesiologist again, and they dosed me again on the operating medicine. Keep in mind, like, I've been dosed so many times of all these types of medicines just to like get them to work. And they gave me that medicine again, and luckily this time it stayed like the whole time. It stayed the whole time. And I was happy. I was like, thank God, like, I'm ready. Like, I was in a better mood. But like, the first half of labor and delivery was miserable. So now it comes like 9:30, and they're like, you're gonna start pushing. You're at a 10. You're at a 10. We feel baby's head. Oh, I skipped a part. Actually, I skipped a part. So when they told me I was 8 centimeters, my water still did not break yet. And at this point, my epidural had like wore off, kind of like, to where I could feel it again. And they're like, we're gonna break your water. And I was like, okay, because then I could feel my water breaking, and that's something that I wanted to feel happen. So I was happy that I was able to feel my water breaking, which was such a weird warm like water sensation gushing out. But I was happy I got to feel that. Like, it wasn't painful at all, so I'm glad I got to feel that. But yeah, now fast forwarding to the time where it comes to pushing 10 centimeters, it was like 9:30. They're like, okay, you're gonna start pushing now, so you're gonna do some practice pushes, and then when the head's there, we'll call the doctor in. And we did some practice pushes, and then the head was there, and baby came out, and it was literally such a relief, such a beautiful moment. Like, it was so different this time because it was just Ramon and I in the room, and like, he was crying, I was crying, and the baby was crying, and he was so small just on my chest. And the nurse, she was able to take like pictures for us and stuff like that, and we got to like soak in the moment before like telling anybody that he was born. Like, they knew that I was in active labor, but like, they didn't know as soon as he was born. But yeah, he was born, and he was born big. He was 7 pounds 7 ounces. I did not tear down there, so everything was intact, and I was so happy because literally, with all the pain and everything that I went through, could you imagine me having to deal with like stitches and everything like that? But yeah, then they delivered my placenta. We did skin to skin for an hour, which was really nice. And then he did skin to skin with his dad. Then they weighed him, and then they made sure I was okay. And then we were up to our recovery suite. And yeah, I'm gonna be filming a postpartum video because postpartum this time around was so different. But yeah, that was my labor and delivery story. It was kind of hectic. Well, it was very hectic in the beginning, up until like me being 8 centimeters. But honestly, you guys, like, I know I'm not going to be pregnant for a very long time, and when I am pregnant, it's going to be our last baby. But I definitely feel like me going to 8 centimeters, technically unmedicated, was very challenging, and I can't believe I even did that. And I give it to all the women out there who literally labor unmedicated the full way, because I like I said, I couldn't believe 8 centimeters unmedicated without knowing. It's just unreal to me. But yeah, that is pretty much my labor and delivery story. If you have any questions, definitely be sure to leave them in the comments below, and I will answer them for you guys. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.